It's that time again. Time to pull out my crystal ball and share my predictions for the big papercraft trends coming in 2026. And I'll be honest, this year feels different. I've got plenty to say, and it's not all good. If you've been around the channel for a while, you will know I do one of these videos every year. And so far, my predictions have been pretty spot on. I mean, I was talking about bows long before they were everywhere. But this year, spotting trends has been harder than ever. While I do like to keep things really positive here on the channel, I do think it's important to talk about the negative things that are impacting our beloved papercraft industry and how they will affect the trends that we see in 2026. The first trend I've noticed is actually a downward one. The mood overall has been quite a somber one, with many of our favourite brands merging, being sold, or closing their doors forever. It's been a lot. Whilst the overall interest in paper crafting has stabilised over the past few years, there's lots of businesses having to work really hard to stay viable. Right now, I'd say there are plenty of brands holding their breath, waiting to see how the tariffs and economic impacts of this year play out. One thing is for sure, there has been a definite shift towards fewer, more simplified releases. I predict we'll see even more of that in the coming year. More consolidation, unfortunately more closures, and a general simplifying of what's on offer. A great example is this collection by Simple Stories. It's called Vintage Junk Drawer. It can be used across all kinds of projects, from cards to scrapbook layouts, vintage journals and books. And it's actually very high up on my current wish list. I've also found myself using more of my supplies across multiple projects, like these stamps from Altenew, which I've been using on cards and scrapbook layouts. So whilst this change may seem a little gloomy, it's not all bad news. For me, the constant stream of jam-packed new releases was becoming overwhelming, and I am personally loving this more curated, simple approach that many brands are now taking. Of course, the flip side is that when brands are just trying to weather the storm, they take fewer creative risks. What that means is less innovation overall. If florals have always sold well, it makes sense to keep leaning into them. Fortunately for us crafters, we already have amazing stashes to work with. So even if there's not a big wave of new coming, that doesn't mean we can't still create beautiful things using the supplies we already have. It's not all downhill though. There is one part of our industry that's booming, and that's digital resources. For example, Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine are now fully digital. While it is sad to see traditional print fade, there is an upside. It's now easier than ever to connect globally. Online events, classes and retreats are stronger than ever. I'm seeing them everywhere, and I expect to see even more of these throughout 2026. There's such a great option because you can join from anywhere in the world, from the comfort of your craft room, using the supplies you already have. Trend number 2 is gingham and botanicals. I talked about botanicals last year, and I predict them continuing to be strong into 2026. Designs inspired by nature are always going to be a winner for me, and I'm glad they're here to stay. I'm thinking soft ferns, pressed flowers, and those vintage botanicals. And do you know what goes perfectly with those? Gingham. I predict it will be the print of the year because it brings a home cozy vibe and fits so beautifully with the botanicals I was just talking about. The beauty of a gingham print is that it's timeless and super versatile. It's the kind of print that can fit all kinds of collections. Think soft browns for fall or green and reds for a traditional Christmas. Now, there was one trend that I totally missed last year, and that was bees. I did not expect them to take off the way they did, pun intended. They turned out to be quite the little icons, and this year I'm predicting that theme to expand. You'll still see the bees, but also butterflies, beetles, and dragonflies, all creeping their way into new collections. And that teams so well with the botanicals I was just talking about. If you're loving the idea of these trends, why not take a look through your current stash and see what you can find? Chances are you already have floral papers, leafy print designs, or even some nature-inspired die cuts that you can mix and match to create your own on-trend collection. Trend number 3 is everyday crafting collections. The days of those 50-sheet paper pads are behind us. Instead, we're seeing a shift towards smaller, more versatile collections that aren't tied to a specific theme or event. These everyday ranges are so much easier to mix and match across projects. It means we can keep reaching for the same papers and embellishments again and again without them feeling too dated or too theme specific. This ties back to what I was saying earlier, with brands creating collections that are far more timeless, that can be used across a really broad range of paper crafts. And honestly, I think this is a great move. Collections that stay relevant for longer are not only more budget friendly, they're a lot less overwhelming to create with. That's a win. If you're a big fan of a brand or designer, you'll probably find that their signature style stays really consistent in 2026. This makes it super easy for you to combine your older stash with those new supplies, and we all love that. It's always a dream when everything works together beautifully. Earlier, I mentioned how digital resources are thriving, and that brings me perfectly to this next trend: digital products and online creativity. In 2026, we'll see more printable papers, embellishments, templates, and guides to go with those online classes and retreats. We'll also see creatives shift their focus away from physical products and towards community. The community aspect of these online spaces has become a big part of the creative experience. I myself started a Patreon community this year, and it's an amazing place for me to share even more content with you. I'll leave a link in the description box below if you'd like to learn more. I'd love to have you join me. If you haven't yet explored digitals like printables and SVGs, they're a really great way to expand your creative options without adding physical clutter. I'll link below a video that dives deep into SVG files and how I use them to save me hundreds of dollars each year. I think this next trend will be the biggest one we see, and that's using what we have. Crafters everywhere are focused on using up their stash and creating projects with the supplies they already have. Spending may have tightened, but creativity hasn't, and that's what I love so much about this community. I've already been seeing some amazing use up your stash and no spend challenges, and I expect we'll see a lot more of that in 2026. My recent video on unexpected craft supplies is a really good example of that. So many of you really loved that video, and it's helped you look at your regular household items in a new creative way. If you missed it, I'll be sure to link it below. And now for my annual color prediction. Every year Pantone releases a color of the year, and every year I try and predict what it will be before it's announced. Here's a look at many of the previous Pantone colors of the year. And for 2026, I'm predicting blue, a mid-tone, fresh tone of blue. Now, my track record hasn't been the best. It's been about 50-50 for guessing the colour, so we'll wait and see. In the meantime, let me know what you think the colour will be. So there you have it, my top papercraft predictions for 2026. And whilst it may not be a year full of brand new exciting supplies, it will be a year of continued creativity. We'll use what we have, revisit old favourites, and keep creating because we love it. And if all this talk of supplies has you dreaming of a decluttered and organised craft space, you need to watch this video next. Now's the perfect time to get started, and it's easier than you think. So I'll see you in the next video. Until then, bye!